this.
We're live.
Yeah. So, hey guys, welcome to Cryptid Corn Podcast. This is our first YouTube video, so this is going to be a little clunky until we figure it out.
Very.
But we also record a podcast, so we're just going to record a podcast as we're recording this.
Is it recording?
It's not recording the podcast yet.
No, but is it recording on the video through our mics?
No.
So that's just picking up our audio from the computer microphone?
Yes.
All right.
And it seems to do okay.
They're watching us figure this out as we go.
So, welcome to Batsquatch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to
All
do
right.
the actual podcast. Hello, and welcome back to Cryptid Corn. I'm Justin.
And I'm Jay.
And this week, we are missing Emily, and we didn't do our magical introductions either. We are currently recording a YouTube video too, so it's a little bit of technology overload.
A little. Extremely. I'm shaking.
But we're going way out west this time. To one of the U.S.'s most destructive natural disasters that we've had, besides the hurricanes.
Yeah, besides hurricanes.
I think our hurricanes in the U.S. are probably about the worst.
Yeah, before you said hurricanes, I was going to say it probably was the most, but no.
No, I think it's right after hurricanes. We've had some really, really bad hurricanes.
Right.
So let's see. Before we get into that, though, we have a couple front of house things. We have Patreon episodes out. So join our Patreon if you'd like more content. The stuff over there, some of it is a little more not PG.
Yeah, it's a little more open.
Because it's less rules and stuff like that. We have to follow and stuff.
You can hear Justin's wicked tongue speak.
Oh yeah, I don't swear anywhere. Anyways.
Yeah, he didn't say anything.
But go to if that's something that interests you, we do have a Patreon option.
And the cryptid we're about to cover on this episode was first introduced on
Patreon.
Our latest Patreon episode. So if that don't tease you to get over there a little bit and check it out.
Next, front of house business. We do have T-shirts available.
Yes.
The best way to get those as of now is just to get through with the Facebook, and that's pretty much the only option we have right now. Maybe in the next couple months we may have a website and make it a little easier, but that's something we're just now starting to look into.
Right. Yeah.
So there's no time frame on that. And lastly, in Real World News last week, we covered these strange UFO lights that are being seen, the strings of lights.
This is a big one.
They're being seen over the U.S., Sweden, Africa.
Ada.
Yeah, Ada, they were seen. So it's a big, long, huge string of lights.
Yes, and I don't know what this is, but...
And once I seen what they are last night, officially, and I feel stupid for not thinking about it.
So it kind of disappoints me. It's not an atmospheric jelly.
It's not. It's not even weird.
Dang
It's
it.
new.
Okay.
That's why that's why it freaked a lot of people out.
Okay.
Do you have any guess?
Is it anything like weather technology, like survey equipment?
No.
Okay. Is it have to do with Elon Musk or Tesla?
Yes.
Okay, so it's SpaceX stuff.
Starlink.
It's Starlink?
Yeah. It's this train of satellites as they move. They hook up together to move more efficiently.
I don't like this.
Because they're big swaths of small satellites.
I'm not a fan.
That's why they're tons and tons of little lights all in a big line.
So what's Starlink do?
That's that kind of... Well, I don't know... Okay, I'm not an expert. I know part of it is to provide internet stuff to areas that really need it. So because the satellite array right now is kind of overhead of areas of higher income, higher populations, and a lot of the other areas are just kind of avoided. If you look at the satellite map right now, there's big areas. So Starlink is kind of that net that can move to a new area. Because he took one of them and moved them over to Ukraine so they could have support and stuff like that. So basically, it's a train of satellites. And then once they get to their area, they set up in position.
So it's to provide like cell phone signal or for like internet signal? Internet signal. Okay, I think doesn't Google like shoot up balloons like up and sorry.
I moved Jay's mic for him.
Doesn't Google? Well, if you watch on YouTube, you can see him move my mic.
You can say how many times I inappropriately touched Jay during an episode.
Well, They can't see what's going on under the table. Don't you got the vapors.
But yeah, so basically in the video I was watching, a guy was like, he had it mapped, and he's like, okay, it's coming by at this time. And they ran out of their house, and they're like, that should be here. Where's it? And then it went right across it, as he predicted, yeah. And he's like, okay.
That's suspicious to me for some reason. I don't know. I just don't give me good vibes.
I'm not saying anything about the technology, but that is what it is.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. Or I believe you if that's what it is. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess we should have thought of that initially.
Because it's so long and thin.
It's weird.
It's a band of satellites.
Yeah. Maybe he's trying to disguise it as a vertebrate cone jelly. Is like, oh, this will throw people off.
And then there was reason, because you remember that one light's really far off behind?
Yeah. There was,
I can't remember. They described why that was too, and I forgot the reason. But there is a reason. There's one that kind of trails back.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically that's the train of satellites going to an area to set up.
And I thought I had my first atmospheric jelly sighting on camera.
It was very cool. It was definitely, but it was seen all over the world.
Right, yeah, that's what was weird.
But yeah, so that's it for updates. But yeah, so that was kind of a fun thing. It sucks it was an atmospheric jellyfish, but that's why you got to look at this stuff. And if it has an actual explanation, you got to look at that and accept it.
If this never did,
who
would have known?
Yeah, and I think we'll be seeing them much more often in the night sky now. I think it's just more efficient way to move the satellites because it's using the same. I think it was using almost the same amount of power to move 50 of them as it was to move 3 of them.
Oh, okay. So that part makes sense because when you're linked up, I guess you only have to move one and it's dragging the rest.
Right, because you're in an orbit, so you don't have to push a lot of power to move.
Right. So what, when they land at their destination, do they spread out?
Yeah, they net out.
They do? Ah, so weird. I don't like this technology stuff. I'm not a fan.
But the Earth is covered in thousands of satellites already.
Well, they all need to come down or get blasted off away. Leave us alone.
A lot of them die. A lot of them come crashing back.
Good.
It's a lot of, it was a big thing in the 80s. It was news stations putting up their own satellites and stuff like that. So there was there's thousands of space garbage up there.
So you mean to tell me the local news station...
No, I didn't say local.
Okay. A news station can pump a satellite up into space.
You can.
But we can't get back to the moon because we lost the technology?
That's a different talk.
I'm just saying, some things just don't add up in the world.
And that lost tech... Okay, that's a different segment. That's a different trip. We'll talk about that later.
All right. Apollo, whatever.
They just don't want to go back.
I know that.
They didn't lose the technology. They just stopped carrying, and the guys that made it retired. Because they're old and they're Nazis.
Literally.
They were. The guy that ran NASA, the first guy that ran NASA was
Werner von Braun.
Was an ex-Nazi.
Yes. Operation Paperclip.
All right. So now, yep, big one.
A little fun, weird old news. Did we already say what this episode's going to...
Nope. So introduce us. So where are we at in the world?
Ooh, West Coast.
West Coast.
Well, west side of the United States.
Okay.
Not quite the coast.
Okay.
You want me to tell them specific place?
Yes. Go ahead.
All right. Mount St. Helens.
What would ever have happened at Mount St. Helens?
Well, a lot of hiking, a lot of sightseeing, a lot of fresh air breathing. And the side of a mountain blowing up.
I don't think there's much fresh air.
Well, not anymore.
Or natural beauty over there.
We're talking what's the date right here?
Yeah,
we're talking pre March 27th, 1980.
Okay. I knew it was a recent volcano explosion.
Yeah, because you ever seen I don't know if any of you guys out there have seen the videos or the still frames of Mount St. Helens as it was swelling and before it actually erupted. It's insane. The whole mountain swells out like a balloon. And then have you ever seen those?
Mm-mm.
So they show photographs of this hour, and you can literally see the side of the mountain just swelling out it's nuts because it's a freaking mountain and swelling up like that. But then obviously the explosion happens. You see that? Yeah. I'm sure you've seen that video and stuff all the time.
Do you know there's a guy that died with his cats there?
Died with his cats there? Maybe, yeah.
He had a cabin, and he refused to evacuate.
Oh, really?
And it was an older guy, and he had a bunch of cats, and he died with all of his cats.
Well, I'm sure it was a quick death.
I don't think it was.
You don't think so?
I'm sure his house caught fire first.
And, well, I guess it depends on where he was.
I mean, he was on top of the explosion. Yeah, I don't think he had to think about it much.
He might have got it launched into the next state.
He's up there with that manhole cover.
Yeah, it's still there. Oh, yeah, that's right. Did we talk about that on podcast?
No, it's okay. We won't.
Man, Patreon references. Mm-hmm. Subscribe to Patreon.
To learn about the fastest man-made object
ever. All right. The creature we're going to discuss at Mount St. Helens. The sacred Batsquatch.
Oh, I want to say before we get into this, I hate the name.
Batsquatch?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you hate it?
Because it is not a Sasquatch physiqued animal.
Right.
And like sheep squatch, I get that because it kind of has the
sheep. I don't think I've heard of sheep squatch yet.
It's the same thing as the goat man, just down south. Okay. But it has a biped. It's man-like. These monsters that get squatch added to them are squatch-like. This creature's description is not a Sasquatch. It's nothing like a Sasquatch. It is bipedal.
To an extent.
Kinda. Because it is very bat.
And you ever seen
Sorry, I'm cutting into your...
No, you're fine. I agree. I agree with you. I was just going to say they kind of lump that Sasquatch name with anything bipedal that you don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
Yeah.
I love the cryptid. Mm-hmm. It's a very unique story we're going to get into. I hate the name.
It's like calling a horse a dog if it's got 4 feet. That's gigantic dog.
That's a riding dog. That's a water dog. That's a...
Right, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
But yeah, so it's it's that kind of thing. Because this thing, do you want to do a description real quick?
So, yeah.
Just a basic description of appearance.
Yep, basic description. This creature is said to have yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and leathery bat wings that span, allegedly, up to 50 feet. It is said the Batsquatch is to be 9 feet tall, and then has the ability to affect man-made objects, which we'll get into that.
Yeah. So, soon. Let's talk about the largest flying creature that we know about.
Ooh. Is it an albatross?
No, not even close.
Is that the largest flying bird?
That's the largest flying... No. Californian condor is.
Oh, it's bigger than the albatross?
Yes, by a good bit. The albatross holds the record for longest flight without landing.
Maybe that's what I knew it was something.
Albatross is up there, too. They're giant, too.
Are they big gliders or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thermal vent riders.
Aha, more specific.
Yeah, so
that's hilarious.
They ride the ocean currents, thermal vents, so they don't have to flap their wings.
I don't know why that cracks me up. They're gliders, right? Yes, well, thermal vent riders.
Yeah. Because they're not really gliding.
Right,
kinda.
Right.
It's a different thing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But Quetzalcoatlus was a prehistoric pterosaur that was named after the Aztec god
Quetzalcoatl. Yeah. Or Kukulkan is also another...
The feathered serpent.
Yep. The plumed feathered serpent. Yeah.
But this was a pterosaur. So for everybody at home that don't know what a pterosaur is, the pterodactyls, the flying reptiles that lived with the dinosaurs, that's that group.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest one of them was a 42-foot wingspan and 22 foot tall on the ground.
But aren't those... Oh, go on.
They only weighed about 500 pounds.
That's craziness.
They were very, very lightly built, and they took a lot to take off.
Ooh, which actually brings me up to a question I had later, but we'll discuss that after we...
Okay. But I just want to say, so when you're talking about these 7 foot tall, and I don't think this creature is very heavy. Strong is different, but I don't think it's very heavy.
You're talking the Quetzal.
No, I'm talking about Batsquatch.
Oh, we're on Bat.
So in comparison, Batsquatch to the largest flying animal we know about that could fly, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
I don't think its wingspan was 50 feet. I think it was probably closer to like 25. Was some of the thoughts and how they described some of the encounters we're going to get into.
But what's the biggest flying creature right now currently? I guess bird.
California condor, I believe, is 16 feet.
So
wingspan, but they're only like 4 foot tall standing.
Okay.
I can't remember the golden ratio. A lot of flying vertebrates, so animals with spines.
Mm-hmm.
that fly, that actually fly, there's something called the golden ratio when it comes to wingspan length versus height of animal or weight of animal.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what that is off the top of my head. I
don't think it's the Fibonacci sequence, but I know you all like human beings have the golden ratio like in their fingers and stuff.
Yeah, there's ratios in life everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And it's usually that one in specific when it comes to like biological life. That's the one that repeats itself almost everywhere.
But I think it's like, so a 4-foot creature, the California condor, so what would that be? 4 times its height, 16 to 18 feet. 4 to 5 times its height.
I wish I could remember.
Something like that. But yeah, so a creature does need a lot of surface area. And it also depends on surface area and how active of a flyer the creature is.
Whether it's an actual flapping creature or a thermal vent rider.
Yeah, or mostly a glider or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and how wide the wings are and how powerful the chest muscles are, which we'll get into the Batsquatch with it, but it's definitely not a glider.
No, definitely not. I would agree on that one. From the descriptions and the stories.
Even the description sounds very much like a super-sized blue vampire bat.
Yeah.
Or flying fox, even.
Okay.
The long snout, the dog-like snout.
Yeah,
flying foxes look very canid.
Yep, that's true. Are the flying foxes the big
fruit eaters? Yeah.
Giant bats that you see like
6 to 7 foot wingspan.
Yeah, no, like 3 feet tall maybe.
Yeah, the red flying foxes can't get very large.
Yeah,
they're very friendly, but you can. You got to be really careful with them. They do carry pathogens that can hop to human.
Never heard that before.
I mean, nothing with modern stuff. I'm just saying.
I know.
The ones at zoos and stuff are tested pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Because they're good animals. What we consider animal ambassadors.
Okay.
They have these really cool, unique wildlife. It's pretty friendly. It's very rare for them to be aggressive towards people.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They make not good pets, good animal ambassadors.
What?
They can go into the public and you know roughly how they're gonna
react to people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine owning one of those though as a pet.
I know a couple. It's not in Ohio, but I know a couple people in Florida that have them as pets, and they just take large space.
I bet
they're not hard to keep,
but it's just be so creepy and creepy. Seeing that thing hanging upside down, Yeah. I don't know. Get used to it, but
so we've had a 16-minute tangent.
That's all right.
But we snuck our biology lesson in early.
Oh yeah. All right. So the Batsquatch, we'll get to the first initial sighting.
So yeah.
And this is what's going to open up all the questions about what this thing is, where it came from,
what happened,
everything in between.
We're going to go into what happened right before. This literally... So the sightings start right after the volcano erupts.
Correct, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's important for the story.
Yeah, that's what I was going to start with.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. So yeah, the first sighting was allegedly seen near Mount St. Helens in the 1980s, right after the Mount St. Helens had erupted. And someone had reportedly seen it flying. I don't know if that's seen it actually flying out from the mountain, or just around the mountain. But from the smoke and ash and debris, they seen a creature come from flying through the air. And that's where, a giant leathery winged creature up in the sky flying, humanoid-ish looking, which is where it probably got the name initially Batsquatch, because it's Batsquatch or Sasquatch with wings. It's not hard to make that leap.
You see the pictures, people really put wings on a Sasquatch, and that is not what this creature looks like.
Right. But I don't know how high in the air the guy initially saw it.
I'm just saying I don't like the drawings of
Right, yeah.
Because it looked like a big bat. It's very bat. It's a bat.
Yeah.
It's just a bat.
And
it's a large bat, don't get me wrong.
Which maybe Squatch is just preferred nomenclature for big. Batsquatch. Kinda. It's just like...
I just don't like the name.
I know.
Because people draw it as a Bigfoot with wings.
Right,
That's not what it was.
So let's make that clear. Get that picture in your head. It's not a Bigfoot, or in our professional podcast opinion, this is not
a Bigfoot
with wings.
With wings.
Yes.
This is a large bat-like animal.
Yes. It's from what I got from the cryptid wiki, where it got its name. It says it resembles a flying primate similar to the ahul. I'm just gonna guess.
Yep.
The orange bati.
The ahul, I believe, is either Madagascar. I think that's the Madagascar one.
Okay.
And that's another giant flying bat.
Okay, and the orange bati, it says it's Southeast Asia.
I don't know about that one. I know the ahul. I think that's Madagascar or Asia.
Somewhere over there.
But it's another giant flying bat.
Okay.
And that's the one I believe has the glowing, the bioluminescent stomach.
Bioluminescent I can't even say it. Bioluminescent stomach?
Yeah.
Like their gut glows?
Their belly. Not the flesh on their stomach. Not their guts.
Okay, just the flesh, but still, just the flesh on their stomach glows?
Yeah, there's a reason. But go on.
Okay. Of course there is, and I know you know it. All right.
It's for fishing.
Of course. Okay. We already gave the description. I kind of want to go over the description again. But so that was the first initial sighting. That's what kind of started, I guess, everything. Maybe that was the first recorded sighting, I guess. That's what put it into the zeitgeist. Can we say it that way?
Yeah.
That was it.
It had been seen a couple times flying. And people, keep in mind, there was nobody there.
Right, on Mount St. Helens?
Yeah. So the people that were there were mostly professionals to see what they could salvage.
Okay.
So there was no residents at this time, for miles. I think it's like a 50-mile radius.
Oh, okay.
So with the people that seen it, the only reason it probably wasn't seen more often, because there's no forest left.
Right, yeah, it was decimated.
Yeah, so the only reason it wasn't seen more often is because there were so few people in there. And we'll get into it, but like logging specialists and stuff like that, to see what they could salvage. Because this was considered a total lost habitat. So they were just going to see what money they could get back. And I know a lot of the money went back into restoration acts and stuff like that.
Oh, well, that's good at least.
But yeah, it was, that's really what they went in to do, was just see what was, if there's anything worth trying to save before we just...
Right.
Yeah.
Just going in there and
bulldozing,
clear everything out.
Because they got to get rid of all the ash. The ash is mostly glass and diamond fragments.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, that's why if a volcano blows up, most of the animals that are most living things that die around it die because they breathe in the ash.
Yeah.
Because it shreds your lungs.
I've heard that before. Well, that would explain quite a few things. Like in past, presents, things dying off quickly.
I mean, we have a lot of dinosaurs that had diamond dust in their lungs.
Ooh, diamond dust. That's a wrestling reference, I'm pretty sure. But
continue.
All right. All right, I was going to ask you a couple... Actually, let's save that for the end.
Okay.
So we got another sighting. Let's see here. The 1994... I got Fiasco is what this one's labeled. I got this from...
So this is... Helens went off in 80, right?
Yep, in 1980.
And this is 94.
So this is 14 years later. Okay. This is Washington, Pierce County. A guy named Brian Canfield was driving. He was driving his car, and suddenly his car had stalled. Canfield smacked the thing a bit, got out, and propped up the hood. He looked inside when suddenly, bam, something landed on top of his car. The vehicle's suspension squirmed and buckled. Canfield, the hood blocking his view, swallowed and took a deep breath and did like a lemur. Oh, wait. Did like a lemur? He took a quick peek above the metal rim of his car. Scratching at his chassis, snarling, and looking like it wanted to fight, the Batsquatch stood. So this guy is...
So, yeah.
So supposedly his car breaks down.
Well, here. Can I add something to that?
Yes.
This is what happened. He was actually a logging specialist.
Okay.
And like we mentioned earlier, that there was a lot of guys in this area. And the reason his car... And I've seen this misportrayed in other stories, but the reason his car had stopped is the carburetor was plugged due to all the ash. So basically, constantly, these guys were used to it. These guys that were all out there would go about 15 miles and their car would die because it'd stall out.
Yeah.
They have to get it out, take their air filter out, knock it off, like knock the dust out of it, and then put it back in and re-go.
Yeah.
So he knew what was happening when he got out. He wasn't, he went right to the problem. Yeah, because this was a common thing. So, yeah, continue.
I think we mentioned that earlier when I said has the ability to affect man-made objects.
That's something that is not, to me, true.
Right. I think that's what you were just alleging too. They kind of took that and ran with that ability. Or it's more of a coincidence as cars breaking down.
Most people in this area at this time could not drive through the park without 15 miles.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all you had. And you just couldn't go any further because your car wasn't getting air anymore. Your truck wasn't getting air anymore.
That's because the Batsquatch is breathing diamond dust into he's blowing it right into your car, forcing it to shut down. Or he's just giant backwater, just dropping from the sky and plugging up your engine.
There you go.
Yeah.
So sorry. Continue.
So the guy sees the Batsquatch on top of his truck, scratching at it.
lands on top of the car. That would be
it's right.
a brown pants moment.
Brown pants. That's I don't know. You might get in the red. I'd be so scared.
Pop a hernia.
Yeah. So I've heard the story. The guy was under. He went under his truck.
Yeah. So he dives under.
Yes.
This is a story I know very well. This is one of my favorites.
And I'm gonna try to tell it to you. So you tell me. And the Squatch is reaching over the side of the car. Squatch, the Batsquatch. Sorry.
Imagine a truck. I know this is hard for people at home because you gotta.
Use your imagination.
He's on top of the cab of the truck.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Campbell?
Brian Canfield.
Canfield dives underneath his truck because he's just instantly terrified of this thing.
As I would be too.
I mean, it's very canid bat looking, big teeth, long snout,
and wings.
Mad. So he dives
All bats
under.
do. All bats do.
Yeah, I mean they're. I love bats. Don't get me wrong.
They just look
but they
bad.
don't look friendly.
No.
But bats are good creatures, but they just don't have the greatest appearance for humans. So he dives under his truck. So this thing's staying on top of the cab, and it's trying. So bats have their hands about halfway on their wings because their wings, the last two parts of their wing is actually their two lowest fingers.
Fingers, yes, I knew that.
So their hands are actually these three little fingers. What would be not their thumb? They don't have a thumb, but they're 3 fingers, and then 2 are actually the wing. So its hands, it's staying on top of the cab, trying to do this almost crab type thing to get him out from underneath the cab.
Yeah.
But it can't bend its arms like that because they're wings.
Right.
So it can't get to him as of right now. So he just grabbing him, scratching the truck. And it's dark. It's pitch black out. And, so he's just, what do you do?
Crap yourself.
And so it then hops down off the truck and starts sniffing and snarling at him. And then it through the night, it would keep acting like he was out there all night.
Mm-hmm.
It acted like he was walked away, and then would leave.
And then come back?
And then he would throw something, and it'd land out of a tree. Thump.
Jeez.
And so it was like ready for him every time. Every time he was like going to throw, and then he finally he stopped it. He wouldn't hear the breathing. He did have a flashlight because he was using that to work on the truck. And then he'd shine it through the tree line, and then you just see it standing there in the tree line.
Yeah.
Just waiting for him to come out. Very apex predatory.
Yeah.
Like
it sounds like it.
It was act like it would leave.
Yeah, so it's trying to trick him.
Yeah.
It's intelligent enough to do that.
And so finally, next morning comes, and he waits a couple hours into the daylight. So he does not get out of this thing. Finally, he's thrown a couple rocks. It hasn't come out. It's daylight, and he's like, okay, I think I can get into the car fast enough now I can see what I'm doing. He hops out really fast, gets in the car, just beats butt into the nearest town.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in, and he's telling everybody. Nobody believes this guy. They're all like, he's just crazy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But there was one witness of the guy, of Canfield, coming into this. It was basically like a general store kind of deal.
Yeah. Because
it was like a restaurant, gas station, and supermarket, because the town was so small.
Yes.
So he comes into one witness of seeing Canfield come in and tell the story. Said the only thing that was weird about him was that he's covered in ash, obviously. He laid in it all night.
Right.
But he had 3 scratch marks through his jacket.
Yeah.
On his back. And Canfield said that he felt something as he was diving under the car. And he didn't realize it, but it just had missed him.
Yeah.
It almost got him.
That's scary.
I mean, it's terrifying. I love the story because it's like, this guy just got away.
Right, yeah. Like, literally, the marks to prove it. Got away.
And then he quit his job and everything. He never went back out there, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you?
I was going to say, would you?
Yeah. So do you have the camp encounter?
In 2009, the Mount Shasta story?
Is that the church, not church camp, but like the kids camp?
I don't think so.
So I'll tell the camp encounter real quick.
Okay.
Because this happened relatively the same summer. I think in the summer of 94.
Oh, okay. Then no, this is not. I don't have that.
No, this happened earlier.
Even before this?
Yeah, this happened 84. So right after. This is about 50 or 60 miles away. There was still forest.
Okay.
So one of the famous camps, and I can't think of the name of the camp, because I didn't do any research on this. So this is just telling a story.
Yeah.
But this was like I don't know if anybody's listening, anybody at home, anybody on YouTube, has gone to like a church camp or anything like that as a kid, you got cabins and counselors and all that stuff.
Right.
But there was a lot of wildlife displaced. So this camp was on the 10 miles off the edge of the destroyed forest into still good forest.
The destructive zone?
Yeah. So they had tons of black bears this summer.
Okay.
More than usual and stuff like that. So they were getting in the trash and stuff like that. These animals are in rough shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard when you have such a wide area of displacement.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just kill the animal. It pushes them away. So they were used to the campers seeing stuff in the windows and stuff like that. Black bears are relatively harmless to people.
Right.
They don't view us as food, so as a prey item or nothing just it can easily hurt you, just like a dog can.
But they're not trying to hunt you down.
That's not a black bear's nature.
Right.
So the counselors were okay. As long as you're in the cabin at night, you see a black bear in the window, just ignore it. So this one cabin, and I can't remember. So let's say there's cabin A, B, C, D, and F. So cabin A is closest to the front of the camp and the counselors' cabins and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cabin F is all the way
the furthest
into
away.
the woods.
Okay.
So the campers in cabin F start reporting they see a monster outside their window at night. It just stares in the windows all night.
That's nice.
So, and the counselor's like, hey, well, you move into cabin E, or from F to E, right? A, B, C, D,
E, F.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm moving backwards now. And then this happened a couple nights. So basically, they had everybody in A, B, and C.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, well, they're at max capacity and whatever, and they just can't do it anymore. And these kids are freaked out. It just stares at him, whatever this creature is. And so finally, one of the counselors stays in the cabin with the kids. And they're like, it's out the window. And he's like, oh, okay. And he looks, and there's this 9-foot-tall, dog-like bat monster standing in the woods line, just staring at them. Right in the tree line, just staring at the cabin.
Yeah.
Not blinking, just...
staring in.
And it freaks him out. And it runs off. Because he turns on all the lights and stuff like that, so then it kind of just
disappears.
It disappears and backs off,
Yeah.
Once it knows it's seen, it just moves. And that's very apex predatory.
Yeah.
Once your cover's blown, you gotta skedaddle.
Right, yeah.
So a group of counselors that wasn't the counselor that seen it that night, he didn't want to go in the woods. But a group of counselors said, it's just a black bear.
Yeah. And
so they go out and they camp in a tent to prove to the campers that it's just a black bear.
Yeah.
They get I think it's 3 counselors in this one tent where they hear this thing start walking around the tent.
Okay.
And it's really weird. It's a really weird foot pattern because there's 2 bigger thumps and then 2 lighter thumps.
Okay.
And it starts around the tent pushing. And the one counselor described it, you could see the snout pushing into the fabric, and it goes, breathing real deep.
Yeah.
And then they're like, they're frozen, and this is when they start realizing it's not a bear because it's standing over top of the tent.
Yeah.
Pushing its snout in.
Yeah.
And sniffing. So they're dead silent. And then there's a mighty gust of wind. And it's just windy, like crazy. They don't know what's happening. And then teeth pierce the top of the tent. And it tries to start picking up the tent. Whatever it is flying over them.
Yeah.
Trying to pick up the tent off the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
With its teeth. And they're freaking out. They start screaming. They turn on their flashlight, shine it, everything stops.
Wow.
And they wait till morning and they leave, and then they actually close the camp down for the summer.
Wow.
And if you notice that common thread of that story is it can't handle the light.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And that seems to be the kicker.
Common denominator, I guess.
When the lights get flipped on the cabin, it leaves. When they start shining the flashlight, it's gone. Very sensitive, it seems, to light sources. Which for nocturnal bats does make sense. There are diurnal bats.
And for demonic creatures, it makes sense.
Yep. But if we want to get into that. But so that's my other favorite Batsquatch story.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's the guy with the truck and then the camp.
Shoot, yeah, my other ones are just like little short blurbs about things they saw.
Those are, yeah. And I mean, this is important. And that's a story.
Right, yeah, true. True. Well, here, yeah. Oh, that's an awesome story, not gonna lie.
I love the Batsquatch.
I crap my pants if that was happening to me.
But it's a very, like, one of these counselors are just like, it's just a bear.
Right, until...
She's like, I've lived here my whole life. It's just a bear.
Until it's trying to take him off.
And then it's not a bear.
That's kind of reminds me of the story. I'm just tangent big time, but when we were in elementary school, we'd have this substitute teacher, and he'd come in, and he'd always tell us, if you're real good, I'll tell you a story at the end of the class. And we all, like, that's all we cared about. He's the best storyteller.
I know the substitute.
Okay, yeah, you probably do. And he was telling us about this story about this little kid who was, when they lay in bed, they thought a witch was in their room blowing on their face. When they lay in bed, they look and pitch black in the room and feel like a cool breeze blowing down their face. And they thought it was a witch, like, over top them. And it happened the one night. He got up out of bed and he told his mom, you can stay here tonight, but it's nothing going on. So then the next night, I forget, like, the boy was always scared. He was one of the, like, you turn off the light and you'd hurry up and run and jump in the bed so nothing reaches from under the bed and gets your feet. It was one of those stories. And so that's what he would do. He'd I think he said he would always run and jump and pull the light switch as he's jumping in the bed. So he'd lay on the bed as the lights were turned off. But he said he was having this witch blow in his face. So one night, he jumped in the bed and he hung onto the thing and pulled the light switch, but he hung onto it and he laid there. And he waited, and he felt the breeze blowing in his face again. So then he pulled the light real quick. He said it was a bat flying around his room right above him. And it was blowing the wind in his face, and that scared him even more. He got up and ran to his mom's room.
I love bats.
Right.
They're good animals.
Yeah.
They are very good for the environment, and every bat in Ohio is endangered.
Really?
Every species.
Not the ones in my brother's roof. Or his...
white ear.
They're what?
White ear. It's a fungus that grows, it causes their ears to turn white.
Okay.
The problem is it wakes them up during hibernation and they starve to death.
Oh, okay.
So there's whole bat colonies, just like 10,000 bats just die overnight.
Well, there's like 10,000 in his roof one night.
That's why mosquitoes have been getting so bad.
Ah.
It's because there's no big bat colonies left in Ohio.
We need them back.
Yeah, we do. I mean, there's literally, I have a friend that's all she does for a living.
Really?
She has a refrigerator, she has about 10 refrigerators in her garage full of bats all winter.
Oh, she keeps them in there?
Yeah,
and they hibernate. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd hate to I'm looking for a beer and you pull open that fridge.
I can't say who it is, but...
No, I'm just saying.
She may have beer in there with them.
Oh, okay.
they sleep pretty good.
Okay. So that would be kind of a rude way. You close the door real quick.
But yeah, I believe it's still... There may be one species not endangered in Ohio, but I believe most bat species in Ohio
Interesting.
are at least threatened.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's a bad thing. In the Midwest, a lot of our bats are dead.
Man. It's probably all the 5G and stuff.
It's that fungus.
And fungus.
They probably... it's propagated through humans. So
we probably created it to begin with.
I think they've had it for a long, long time, but it's one of those funguses that have really done well with people. But so to the next Batsquatch story.
Batsquatch story.
I'll rename this creature by the end.
Oh, a good idea. That'll be your goal by the end of this episode. So more sightings. In 2009, near Mount Shasta in California, there were several hikers witnessed a huge creature with leather wings fly out of a crevice in the mountain. The creature was either the dreaded Batsquatch or a pterodactyl/thunderbird. Descriptions vary. So that's just one little sighting they seen. Another sighting was in 2011. A man was walking his dog. He went to pick the dog up when he saw something flying in the sky. And he said, "I saw something flying high. It had bat wings, blue fur, and a face similar to eyes glowing red. It was about 9 feet tall. At least after I watched it, just flew away."
Mm-hmm. So once again, we get the blue fur thing.
Yeah, the blue fur. That's a weird coincidence.
I may have something for you for that.
Oh, okay. And then the last little sighting I have is on April 14th, 2014.
Oh, wow.
At Archbishop Hoban High School in Akron, Ohio, so locally. A class witnessed a giant black mass zoom by the window of their homeroom at flashlight speed. The phenomenon, and that's all they saw. It's just...
See, that doesn't seem Batsquatchy to me.
What is this? Oh, I know what you're saying. It might be.
Because it's not near anything the Batsquatch is known to be near.
Correct.
But it's only about 80 miles away from somewhere else.
Let's just get into it right now.
Okay.
It could possibly be...
That sounds like the Mothman.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's a lot of... Well, there's actually not a lot of similarities and a lot of similarities with the Mothman and Batsquatch.
Yeah.
Mothman, I don't... Once again, another misnamed thing.
Mothman?
Yeah. You know what the Mothman's original name was?
Gary.
No, Batman.
Oh, okay. Oh, Batman, okay.
I'm not even joking.
No, I believe that.
But they changed it because of the comic book character.
Right, too much, probably some copyright.
It was just, nobody understood what the articles were about.
Makes sense.
So he changed it to Mothman.
Makes a lot more sense.
But the Mothman's original name was the Batman.
I wonder why people aren't drawing connections to Batsquatch and Mothman.
Because of the names.
But, I mean...
It really is. It's because you don't think about it.
Right, true. Yeah, you don't at all. Was that intentional?
No, I don't think so. I just think it's because it was originally called the Batman. But it just they changed it because it just doesn't make any sense.
But why not call it the Batsquatch Mothman or anything like that?
Because I think they had a lot more actual, like...
Just
eyewitness? Yeah. I didn't think it was a bat.
Okay.
I don't think they're the same thing. They do have a lot of similarities, but I don't think they're the same thing. The Mothman is very much described as more owl-like.
Oh, okay.
With the round, flat head, the big, giant eyes, which this thing does. This thing has a very canid head.
Yeah.
The Mothman had a very much bird-like head without the beak.
Okay.
The big, flat, wide head and
stuff
makes
like
sense.
That.
They're not the same creature, in my opinion.
Kind of like a big insect even they would have.
And more mothy shaped.
Yeah.
Or owly shaped. I think the Mothman really fits like an owl, as in shaped, and how it moved around.
That makes sense.
But yeah, no, they do, like that Akron one is definitely a Mothman sighting, not a Batsquatch sighting. But it just matters what thing you know about.
Exactly, yeah. Because, like I said, it was just a
big flying creature.
Yes, exactly. What else are you going to think it is? Or lump it in with?
So, as far as... I know you have questions for me, or,
I do.
Or topics to talk about. But before we get into that, maybe, as far as the stories go and the actual Mount St. Helens eruption and stuff, I love the Batsquatch. The Batsquatch is I'm going to say it's a B-level cryptid, as in far as popularity.
Okay.
A lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
It's not one of the big guys.
I wasn't really that aware of it until
a lot of people
just recently.
But a lot of people do know about it.
Right,
It's fairly popular. It's but it's not it's not Bigfoot, it's not the Dogman,
right.
It's not Nessie.
Yep.
So those are the A-level guys.
It's not Sinkhole Sam.
No, Single Sam's probably about an F.
We're gonna make him an A.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talk about him a lot. But it's like the Fresno Nightcrawlers, it does have a fan base where people generally enjoy the story and the creature. I do think it was real.
I agree. I think so too.
I think it would eat you.
I agree.
I think if it got the chance, it would eat you.
I think it was trying to.
I think it was trying to really get that guy.
Yeah.
I think it did eat people.
Either that or he had some, fruit in his pockets.
I think it was very hungry.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. I think you have a question about that later, of why maybe it happened after the volcano erupted.
Yeah, I mean, all sorts of questions, theories.
Yeah, topics.
Right.
So go ahead with your first.
Well, first, I had questions about its description. And you mentioned the blue fur earlier.
So there is... Do you want me to go into that?
Yeah, explain...
There is a fungus that causes fur to turn blue.
Ah, of course.
Guess where it's found?
In caves.
Yep.
Aha. So I believe this might be a cave creature.
It definitely is. It was not made for the surface world, it doesn't seem.
It does,
At least mostly. I do think it mostly lived in caves. It could have came in and out and hunted in the forest for small game.
Like at night and stuff? Yeah.
But the blue fur, there is a fungus that can cause a blue dye to form.
Interesting. Because blue doesn't normally occur...
In nature. It's very, very rare.
Yeah, very.
There's no food that's blue. Blueberries are purple.
Purple, yep. I think George Carlin said that once. What's blue? What's blue? Where do you get blue from? Where's it come from?
Yeah, there's no blue is extremely rare in nature.
Right, yeah. Comes from the sky.
Most creatures can't pick up on blue.
Okay.
So even as warnings, you see really toxic animals, they don't use a lot of blue.
Okay.
They use purple. They use yellow. They use red.
Did you ever see that guy that turned blue?
Yeah, there is a couple diseases that can cause people to turn blue and green.
Yeah. He ate silver or something?
Yeah, silver will turn you blue, copper will turn you green.
Cool. Oh, like oxidizing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
But yeah, so I do believe what happened when Mount St. Helens did erupt, it did crack open a couple cave systems.
Yeah, that's what I was
and old
imagining.
Lava tubes.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch. Mount St. Helens area has all kinds of dried lava tubes.
So I'm wondering, like, if this creature was alive underground, and if it had wings, if it's this big, there's got to be vast areas where it's flying through.
Or it does leave the cave like a bat would.
Right, yeah.
And I do think that's a good possibility, too, that it was actually active outside the cave system.
Mm-hmm.
But I think why it became so aggressive...
It's because it lost its
habitat,
basically.
It was starving, probably.
Mm-hmm.
All the small game had disappeared. That's mostly what I think it was feeding on.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it was trying to tackle bigger prey that really wasn't adapt to.
Yeah.
Like, it would have grabbed that guy, it still would have been in trouble. Bats, if it is a bat, let's say it truly is some kind of bat.
Yeah.
Onyx is the biggest bat species we know about in the fossil record, and they're like 5 foot tall.
Okay.
It was a giant bat, so it's man-sized. There's man-sized bats have existed.
Okay.
It would still have been in trouble. That guy could have got away. Their bones are very lightly built. Anything that flies is pretty lightly built. So I think this thing was in a lot of trouble. Like hungry and stuff, so it was eyeing up bigger targets than it would normally ever eye up.
It's pretty much old world got destroyed, and it had
everything was like that.
I mean,
like the camp story, the bears were going nuts.
Right, yeah.
The bears were going into areas they shouldn't have been. The towns in the area after the destruction zone
had
pushed bears all over the towns because they didn't know they were hungry.
Right, yeah.
A hungry animal is a very different creature. I mean, they'll do
its natural reaction stuff.
They'll do stuff that you won't expect because they're starving.
Have you ever seen what's it called? A human being female when they're hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Whole different creature.
One's texting me right now.
Entirely different species.
Mm-hmm. I just turned my phone off.
That's the only thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's what I do believe it was a cave creature. I don't think it was locked into the cave system.
Right.
Because it still seemed pretty adept for
like
large
it knew what it was doing.
Yeah. It was, it knew what it was doing. But I think the volcano blowing up could have closed off the rest of its cave system it was living in.
Yeah.
It could have changed the environment down there completely.
That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. It was definitely from down there, and who knows how many cave systems there are.
There's tons.
We don't even know.
Yeah, there's tons.
How deep they go, we don't know. But that's where I'm thinking it came from. Got pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
It must have known something was happening too.
The rumbling.
Right.
They actually use catfish in Japan to predict earthquakes.
Oh my gosh!
Not even joking.
I believe it.
It's the most. They sense it more than our technology ever does. There's one they have that's like a 80-year-old catfish, and he's the best.
What's it do?
So basically, I can't remember the species of catfish. They're really, really lazy, but they get super agitated when the low frequencies that the Earth creates before an earthquake.
So it could be anywhere on the Earth, basically?
No, it's local.
Locally? Okay.
And so they have like a bunch of tanks of these catfish.
And if they start going nuts,
But there's one, so not all the catfish are as accurate as all the other catfish, but there's one that's it's old and it's like, it's not albino, but it's really, really white for the species. And it's the best one.
Yeah, of course it is.
And it looks like an old sensei.
Right, yeah,
with
the mustache whiskers. And
he's well taken care of.
That's awesome.
He's predicted, I can't remember how many earthquakes and tsunamis.
I did not know this. That's so awesome. Oh yeah, you kind of have to if you're in Japan. Mm-hmm. You better be knowing what's...
They're living right on the fault.
Exactly, yeah.
Active, one of the most active in the world.
And right by the ocean, yeah, that's nuts.
So what's your next topic?
Well, I was going to ask you, you kind of went into it a little bit. I was going to ask you, weight proportions in bat wings. Mm-hmm. Like, is it possible for a creature, I guess, to be that big?
So it was, let's say 7 foot tall. I know everybody says 9 foot.
Yeah.
I don't think it was 9 foot.
Right.
I think it was 7 foot from the stuff I've read on the Batsquatch and stuff. We all know humans are really bad judges of size.
Right.
Especially when we're scared.
And especially when the bigger it is, it's even... It seems like the bigger it is, the more...
Exaggerated
off. Yes, you're off. Because it just looks
So I'm going to say
unbelievable.
it's 7 foot tall, probably a 20 to 25 foot wingspan. So we look at it standing on a truck cab and reaching the ground from it being standing. That's about 10 foot. And that's half its wing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it's probably about 20 to 25 foot wingspan. That is possible.
Yeah, if it's even laying down on a truck, that's even shorter. Like very possible.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say each wing was probably anywhere from each wing itself was anywhere between 10 to 15 foot. So probably 20 to 30 foot wingspan.
Yeah.
Probably on the shorter end. Bats. The one description said it was super muscular. I don't think we got into that, but bats are power flyers.
Yeah,
is what they are.
They're constantly flapping.
They have to. They don't do any. Flying foxes are the only ones that kind of do a gliding kind of motion.
Yeah, and
they're not very good at it. Bats are just they have to be power man. They're mammals. So they're better at it.
They're flappers.
But yeah. So a 7 foot creature with a 25 foot wingspan, he probably would only weigh 180 pounds, 190 pounds.
We know any bat experts that we could?
I can ask her, but she does mostly little brown bats, so you can fit about 8 of them in your hand.
Yeah,
how big can this? It's had a 20 foot wingspan. How much would it weigh?
Right. Yeah, they should probably know. Probably know.
Be like, oh, that's a lot of math.
Yeah, I don't think I could put that in my freezer.
It's a meat locker. But no, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, like we talked about with Quetzalcoatlus.
True.
The flying pterosaur. There was flying creatures that were much bigger.
So yeah, it's bone. Whatever it was, its bones had to be.
Bats are like that. Bats already like that. You mean the bats? Even a large bat, you can break pretty easy.
That's interesting. I just don't know.
So
I don't
it's
know
not out of the realm
bats.
of scientific possibility.
Correct. I have another.
Yes.
We kind of covered the Mothman because I was going to ask if you think there's a connection between the two, but we kind of already covered that.
I don't think there is. The Mothman, this had a very, very different description, and the Mothman had a lot of good sightings.
Yeah.
A lot of close sightings to have a really accurate description.
That were similar enough to where...
But then, same with the Batsquatch, had a couple really good close sightings to where I comfortably say they're most likely not the same creature.
Right.
Or the same family or anything like that. I think they're very different.
I'd agree with that. The only similarities is it's a
large flying creature.
Black creature, yeah.
Blue. One's blue, one's black.
True, yeah. That's right. The blue. That's so crazy. Of course, there's something that would turn a bat's fur blue.
Yeah, I don't know if they've ever been reported in bats, but there are things.
Okay.
There are funguses that can cause fur and skin pigment to turn blue.
Yeah.
In caves.
We might have to look into.
I can't remember the one, but one Native American tribe uses it as a dye.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look it up though, see if there is a blue bat. We're gonna find it after this.
Okay.
We need to see Emily. You need to be here to be on the computer at hand when we got these questions. The universe needs to answer.
Good today. All right.
Here's a question now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it could be a lower dimensional creature / demon?
No.
You don't think so?
This is very.
What if?
Okay.
The explosion of Mount St. Helens. Mm-hmm. I think I read it somewhere. It was like the equivalent of the atomic bomb, like plus some going off.
Which bomb?
I thought they said atomic.
What? Yeah, atomics are the smaller ones.
Yeah, and not like the hydrogen bomb or that blew up. Not that, but like it was like an atomic bomb. It's it
was a small. I've seen that somewhere.
6% even more powerful than that.
Than the small one.
Yeah, the small.
Yeah, it's a small one. It leveled 50 miles of forest.
But something like that big, that amount of energy just being released. What if it opened up some sort of portal-ish area or something?
When we talk about volcanoes, so we're getting on a little more of theoretical. Speculative science. When we talk about volcanoes, the eruption, that's a lot of kinetic energy.
Yeah.
Or went from potential kinetic, explosive. There's no radiation associated with that. There's no weird exotic particles associated with that. It's just a lid on the pop bottle going off.
But what if that's enough to open to
in my mind,
things?
That's not what's opening the things when we talk about these portal areas and stuff like that. I think it's when we start getting into the exotic particles.
Like the man-made sort of
the more
rifts,
radiation,
explosion.
and more. When I say exotic particles, that means really rare stuff. Doesn't really occur in nature.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when we're getting into more portal areas. I don't think a natural volcano explosion would do that.
Could release that
because it's just a lot of pressure.
Right.
There's nothing.
But we don't know what the world is or how it works. I mean, you never know.
No, we don't. But in my mind, portals, the things we're talking about, like the Mothman stuff, that is experimentation with exotic particles and certain types of radiation.
Yeah.
Because that's what starts messing with reality and stuff like that. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Not lava or magma, and that wasn't even a big explosion.
I mean,
that was a very small volcanic explosion.
For volcanoes, yes.
That was very small and very weak.
And actually, I have right here written in my notes the one of the largest, the super volcano Toba. You ever hear about that one?
I can't say that I know it.
75,000 years ago, it's like the biggest. It was in Indonesia, the biggest volcano explosion that at least we think we know of.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like super massive, and I think there's like ash and soot all around the world from this one volcano.
We have other volcanoes like that in history I know about.
But this one was like, I think the next biggest one, this one's like 10 times even more bigger.
The volcanoes, I mean, if Yellowstone were to go off today, we'd die in Ohio.
I think this would be similar to
Yellowstone in the size.
Yeah, it might even be bigger than what Yellowstone could be.
Yeah.
Like
so we would die right now if Yellowstone went off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we would.
It's a 15-hour drive.
That's nuts.
And then anybody else past us, we literally lay on the line.
I was going to say, I thought
dying
we were...
today and dying next week.
So why would we die today? Why would it happen so quick for us?
We'd be covered in 10, 15, 20 feet of soot.
So if you weren't, you could live through that possibly?
I mean, you wouldn't because it's all diamond dust.
True, yeah.
You're going to die.
Yeah.
It will get through a respirator. It's hard stuff. You will die. And then the people past us will die because of diamond dust a week later. And the people past that will die because of the winter.
So how would... Oh, the nuclear winter, basically.
Basically, yeah. There's so much soot in the atmosphere, it causes the sun to go out for...
If
they think Yellowstone would cause months, if not years, of winter.
Yeah.
And we die. The whole world operates on a 9-day food supplies.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
I mean, it's how it's got to be. There's too many of us.
Mm-hmm. Do you think... What if that's why they built these underground cities we're finding it all over the place?
I only know of one underground city.
Oh, there's the one in Turkey, Derinkuyu.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big one.
Is that one with the stab holes above the entryway?
Ooh, I don't know about that. Not too sure. That's the one. It has big stone rolling doors.
I think that's the one with the stab holes.
The guy found it like renovating his basement.
Yes, that's the one with the stab holes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So there's only one pathway in, and basically there's little trenches in the ceiling of the pathway in, and people could be in there and stab down as you were walking past as a defense.
Oh, okay. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What if they built these things, to live after a supervolcano erupted?
You wouldn't. If you were that close to a supervolcano, you'd be covered in soot.
I mean, if they knew one on Earth was exploding, on the other side of Earth, they just knew. They built these cities or refuge. I don't know.
There's not much you can do, even when you're on the outside of a planet of a supervolcano.
I'm just trying to think, why would they build these things?
If you don't die immediately, the winter, you're going to wish you died.
So what's more destructive, a supervolcano or an asteroid?
Well,
or a solar flare?
The solar flare.
That's the most?
Yeah, it'll fry you. That fries everything with a nerve system.
Unless you're underground.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't even matter.
I'm going to figure out why they built these little...
All right, well, back to Batsquatch.
Yeah, okay. He came from an underground city. He built it himself. They excavated it in 1980.
It's somebody's dog.
Yeah, it's someone's dog, genetically modified.
It's a bat dog.
Yeah, it's a bat. That's common.
Mm-hmm. You got any other topics?
That's pretty much everything.
So what would you rate the Batsquatch? Do you think you could beat him in a fight?
Yes, I do. I'm pretty confident. I like my chances. He might bite me.
Yeah, that's really, I think, where it comes down to is if he bites you or not.
Whether his bite will, kill me, unless it has some disease or something, I will take it on. I don't care. I'll grab it wherever I can grab it and do whatever I can to it.
Yeah, bats are weird. They do have a lot of weird diseases we can get from them. They're one of the other groups that we do have a lot of stuff in common.
Yeah.
Like primates, there's a lot, you pretty much get anything a monkey has, you probably can get sick from it.
Right, yeah.
Whether they're the same severity or not.
Right.
Because there's some diseases some primates have that affects us that will kill them, and we're just kind of like a cold, and it's the exact opposite for some others.
Right, yeah.
And bats kind of have that too. I can't put them all off the top of my head, but there are a couple that are just secondary to bats. They don't care that they have them or not, and really bad news for people.
Oh yeah.
But everybody talks about rabies. I don't think bats are very common to carry rabies.
Yeah, I guess I've heard that before.
I think that's one of the wife's tale things.
Okay.
That they get the bad rap.
When you were a kid and you live out in where we live,
me and
everything
Dad
has
used
rabies.
to catch bats.
Really?
Yeah.
To see if they have rabies?
No, we just could catch them. That was all. We do it all night. We catch bats.
Really? See, you're the reason that they're endangered. People like you.
No, we would have them.
Just
Dad would rescue them from the grain elevator and bring them home and release them in our woods.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because there was a room they'd all get trapped in.
Really?
And he'd scoop them all up and bring them in a bucket and then release them into our woods.
Oh, that's awesome. Kill all the bugs there.
Well, yeah, that's what he brought them back for. But they were going to die in that room because they couldn't get out. They could get in, but they couldn't get out. Mm-hmm. So he'd bring home all kinds of bats.
Bats, they're cool creatures.
He'd put in a welder's glove and just kind of grab them and throw them in a bucket.
I don't have the nerve. They creep me out too much. But yeah.
That's been Batsquatch. I love the Batsquatch. We forgot the one thing to bring up.
Uh-oh.
Do you remember?
Uh-uh.
So, Jay, if you go to our Patreon, we had 2 facts and a fake.
Last
episode on Patreon.
That is my last little blurb here.
And then Jay was one of his facts. So, basically the game works. Each of us present 2 real cryptids and a fake cryptid we made up, and the other people got to guess which one was the fake one. One of Jay's was the Batsquatch, and he acted like I never heard of it. And guess what was in my refrigerator? Is Batsquatch beer.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Jay. And Emily started laughing before I did.
Yeah.
Because Emily even had you called out.
Yeah.
Emily knew it was real, and that's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's...
You didn't research good enough.
No, I just saw it, and I never heard of it, and I like the name, so I'm like, I'm doing this one.
All right, but I think that's pretty much been the Batsquatch.
Yeah.
I love it. I love this cryptid. I think, so sightings kind of tapered off. I think this individual either died or finally moved on, found other hunting grounds.
Found a new cave.
I think they're very shy in nature and generally. I think this one was just very hungry.
Yeah, the one that was watching. Yeah. Or trying to get the guy and the one watching the kids.
I think it was just starving. I think that's what, we see it with mountain lions and stuff like that.
Yeah, it happens.
Generally, the ones that attack people are the ones that are really...
desperate.
They're really desperate. They know it's not a good chance of them getting this prey at them, but...
they're going to do it anyways.
Well, they have to.
Yeah.
Or they're going to die.
Right.
So it comes down to survival. And that's when animals are the most dangerous. It's when it comes down to the, it's you or me kind of deal.
Right, yeah.
And, I think he either died or he moved on.
I would agree with that.
Well, I have been the mysterious Justin.
I've been the infamous Jay.
And we'll catch you next week with some more weirdness in the corn. Sorry, I'm trying to think of how to... that's our worst part of this. We don't know how to end these.
No, not at all.
We're just kind of like, okay, we're done. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys.
We're done.
Bye. All right, YouTube. This may or may not be up on there, but also,